The state shall endeavour to organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines, and shall in particular take steps for preserving and improving the breeds and prohibiting the slaughter of cows and calves and other milk and draught cattle of Article 48. The state shall, through 42nd Amendment 1976, endeavour to protect and improve the environment and safeguard forests and the wildlife of country. Article 48A. In MC Mehta, Union of India, 1983, the Supreme Court directed the government at all levels to take appropriate steps for the protection and control of pollution of water. It shall be the obligation of the state to protect every monument or place or object of artistic or historical act interest declared by a law made by Parliament to be a national importance from spoiling, disfigurement, destruction, removal, disposal, or export or otherwise. The state shall take steps to separate judiciary from the executive. Article 50. Through various laws, steps have been taken to separate judiciary and executives. The state shall endeavour to promote international peace and security, maintain just and honourable relations among nations, foster respect for international law and treaty obligations in dealing with other peoples, and encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration. Article 51. In regard to the above, one can mention Berubari Care 1960, Worgis Bank of China 1980, and the Civil Rights Committee, Union of India 1983. There appear from the above directive principles which relate to social polity. Article 38, 39, 41, 43A, 44, 47. Administrative policy. Article 40 and 50. Socio-economic policy. Article 41, 42, 43, 48, and International Policy Article 51. What is clear from above is that the directive principle seeks to establish a welfare state and bring about social revolution in India. The idea of directive principles of state policy is very old. The Constitution of Principality of Liechtenstein 1921 and that of the Spanish Republic 1931 and references to some directive issues issued for the state. The framers of a constitution were impressed by the provision relating to directive principles as stated in the Constitution of the Irish Free State 1937. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described directive principles as the novel feature to our constitution as they are like instruments of instruction of the Government of India Act 1935 issued to the Governor General by the British government. These are the directives to the governments of the day to consider them fundamental while formulating the policies with regard to the administration of the country. Some of the features of these principles can be briefly summed up as under. The principles are not justiciable. The government cannot be called to courts for not having implemented them. They serve as guideline while making laws for the people. They are like policies for the government, the national manifesto, irrespective of political party in power. They are so comprehensive that they seek to build a socialist society. See Article 30, 39, 39A, 41, 42, 43, 43, and 47, Angadian India. See Article 40, 43, 46, 47, and 48, and a liberal and international state. See Article 44, 45, 48, 48A, 49, 50, 51. They are positive as they require the government to do certain things. They are socio-economic in nature. The directive principles seek to establish social and economic democracy. They are not enforceable, but they cannot be ignored either. Government cannot make laws against them, and if they do, they can be declared violative of the Constitution. In this sense, the directive principles are enforceable. They lay the foundation of economic democracy. Ever since the directive principles of state policy were incorporated in the Constitution, certain new directive principles have been added. These are to secure opportunities for healthy development of children, to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid to the poor. Article 39A. to take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management of industries. Article 43A to protect and improve the environment and the safeguard forest and wildlife. Article 48A to minimize inequalities in income, status, facilities and opportunities, added in Article 38, 44th Amendment 1978 to declare elementary education obligatory under Article 21, 86th Amendment 2002. The directive principles help supplement fundamental rights. They constitute the economic aspects of the fundamental rights, its socio-economic aspect. As they stand, fundamental rights and directive principles are different from each other. That is why they are often distinguished. The fundamental rights are enforceable by court. The fundamental rights are enforceable by the courts, and whereas the directive principles are not enforceable, the courts can issue writs so as to help protect the fundamental rights, whereas they cannot issue any writ to force the state to implement the directive principles. The fundamental rights are rights of the people, whereas the directive principles are not the rights but are the fundamental duties of the state to keep them in mind while formulating policies or making laws. The fundamental rights provide restrictions on the state. There are limitations on the powers of the state, whereas the directive principles or obligations the state is supposed to perform. The fundamental rights are in their nature both negative, seeking checks on the state, and positive, asking the state to provide certain facilities, while the directive principles are in their nature always positive, expecting the state to perform certain tasks. The fundamental rights lay the foundation of political democracy, whereas the directive principles, those of the economic and social democracy. The directive principle usually conform to the chapter on fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are by and large individual oriented, whereas the directive principles are to a great extent community oriented. The fundamental rights have a liberal orientation, whereas the directive principles they have communitarian orientation. And yet the fundamental rights and the directive principles go together. Both do not stand against each other but seek to complement each other. The question of attitudes of the judiciary, legislature, and executive with regard to fundamental rights and the directive principles has been a significant one. In case such as Om Prakash, State of Punjab, 1951, State of Madras, Champakam, Dorai, Jan, 1951, and Jagwant Kaur, State of Bombay, 1952, the court held the view that the directive principles of state policy have to conform to and in fact run subsidiary to the fundamental rights. In cases, the courts held the view that the directive principles have to work within the framework of fundamental rights. In yet another case, M.H. Qureshi, State of Bihar, 1958, the Supreme Court maintained that although the directive principles should conform to and run subsidiary to the chapter on fundamental rights, it would not reject the directive principles altogether. The constitutional amendments, first in 1951, the fourth in 1955, and the 17th in 1964, authorized the Parliament to amend the constitution so as to give the directive principles an advantageous position as compared to the fundamental rights. In 1967, the Supreme Court in the Golaknath case declared the fundamental rights as sacrosanct and held the fundamental rights cannot be amended for the implementation of the directive principles. In reaction to the Golaknath case, the 25th Amendment 1971 inserted Article 31C, which contained no law which seeks to implement Article 39B and 39C would be void on the ground that it contravenes the fundamental rights, especially Articles 14, 90, and 31. No law which seek to give effect to such policy, Article 39B and 39C, would be questioned in a court of law. In the Keshavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court declared clause 2 of Article 31C as unconstitutional, stating that the judicial review is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution. The 42nd Amendment 1976 accorded primacy to the directive principles over fundamental rights. Articles 14, 19 and 31, but in the Mills case 1918, the Supreme Court reversed the position, making the directive principle subordinate to fundamental rights. However, the Supreme Court in the Minerva Mills case regarded both the fundamental rights and the directive principles as complementary, one no less important than the other, and both essential part of the basic structure.